Commissioners, would all those who are willing and able please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority. And may we use our directions for the common good, and for thy honor and glory. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Here.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Present.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here. Okay, we have before us the meeting minutes of the July 5, 2023 regular meeting. Can I have a motion to approve same, waiving the reading thereof?
Move to approve. Second.
Thank you. Are there any corrections or additions? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Thank you. All right, moving into our first public comment portion, we have some guests with us here from 4-H. So, Lisa, you want to start this off?
I will.
It's always good to start a meeting off with lots of smiles, and cute kids too help.
Yes. All right. So my name is Lisa Manning, and I work for the Ohio State University Extension Office, and there I run the 4-H Youth Development Program, and I have some of my youth here today. As you may know, our fair is coming up next week, starts next Tuesday, July 25th, and the kids have been working all year round, so I know many people come to the fair for the fun, but these youth have been working all year round on various projects. We have many youth here from our livestock program, but we have kids who've done some different things also in our program. What you see at the fair is the animals, but we also have in our youth building, all of our non-animal projects are on display. So those are other things that you can see. We don't have some of those youth here today. So each kid is going to come and talk about their projects. And if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask.
Gentlemen,
We're going to start with Lily.
there you go.
Good morning, Commissioners Plechnik, Hammercheck, and Regovich. My name is Lily Peeler, and I'm active in 4-H clubs this year, such as Wings and Things, Tail to the Rail, Junior Market Livestock, Junior Fair Board, and I've also been a camp counselor for 3 years. I'm 16 years old, and this will be my 8th year in 4-H. This year, I have 2 market hogs and 2 goats named Tootsie Roll and Stacy. Available this year at our auction are hogs, steers and heifers, chickens, turkeys, lambs, and goats. If you don't want an entire animal, let us know when you are registered so we can help you find someone to split it with. You can also donate an animal to a charity such as Salvation Army. We would love to see you at our livestock auction this year.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners Plechnik, Hammercheck, and Regovich. My name is Reese Ratchford. I'm 16 years old, and this is my 8th year in 4-H this year. This year I have a market lamb named Wallen, and then I have a market goat named Mikey. I also have 2 pens of chickens going to the fair. I've learned from being in 4-H from my 4-H project by having patience with every animal that I have and raise, because they all can be different. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners Plechnik, Hammercheck, and Regovich. My name is Macy McDonald, and my club name is Wings and Things. I'm 11 years old, and this is my 3rd year in 4-H. I have a steer named Peppermint, a lamb named Lucky, and 2 pigs named Eclipse and Tulip. 4-H animals are the best because I love care for them and walk them every day, so their meat is better than store-bought.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners Plechnik, Hammercheck, and Regovich. My name is Faith Yankee. I'm in Giddy Up, Woan Moore. I am 17 years old, and I've been in 4-H 8 years. This year, I have a market lamb and a pen of market turkeys. The auction is Saturday, July 29th at 4 p.m. You could begin registering at 2 p.m. Our youth will be in the barns with their projects starting at 2 p.m. to meet and greet our buyers.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners Plechnik, Hammercheck, and Rekovich. My name is Maddie McDonald. I am in Wigs and Things 4-H Club. I'm 11 years old, and I've been in 4-H for 3 years. my projects this year are 2 pigs named Pickles and Samuel, a steer named Milo, and a lamb named Pom Pom. I've also done bottle rockets. One thing I love about the fair is working at the milkshake booth and the food booth.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners Plejnik, Hamercheck, and Regovich. My name is Michael McDonald. My club's name is Wings and Things. I am 11 years old. I've been in 4-H for 3 years. I have 3 pigs, 2 steers, and 2 lambs this year. We provide a dinner for all registered buyers, which is very yummy.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners Plesnik, Hamercheck, and Regovich. My name is Olivia Schwartz. I'm in Club Giddy Up Whoa. I'm 16 years old, and this is my 8th year in 4-H. This year, I have a goat named Peter and a pig named Pinky and 2 pens of chickens. This auction takes MasterCard, Visa, American Express, cash, and checks.
There you go. What about Bitcoin and that other stuff? Thank you. Nice. You want to put a cherry on top on this one?
Well, because most of our youth talked about our auction, it is important to know that our auction is Saturday at 4 p.m. And you can come in and register at 2 o'clock. And the youth, all of these youth and all of the youth in the program will be in the barns with their projects. You can walk around, meet the kids, see the projects, and hear what they've been working on. And all week long, we have our youth building, which displays all of our, like I said, our non-animal projects. And then you can also be in the horse barns. Our saddle horse kids are in there. We have our shooting sports club, and they have activities all week. If you come to our youth building, you'll see outside we have a chalkboard that talks about all the different activities that we're doing throughout the fairgrounds that day. So, and then we have a food booth also. So then all the proceeds from our food booth go back into our 4-H youth development program. So thank you for your time. This was very nice, and a nice opportunity for the youth to be able to come up and do some public speaking, which is always, a little hard, but they did a very, very good job. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gentlemen, anything for the young'uns?
Mr. President?
Please.
First, I want to say that pronouncing all 3 of our names so perfectly is no small feat. So you are already great public speakers. But in all seriousness, the 4-H auction is one of the best events at our Lake County Fair, which really was founded to highlight the importance of agriculture in our community. So in many ways, it's the heart of the Lake County Fair. It's also exciting when you see the bids and the winners. We really don't know as the general public, what's the champion steer, the champion lamb until the auction. So it's kind of like an unveiling of that too. Dr. Komar, our county coroner, is very good about coming to all the auctions, but I just want to challenge all of our county-wide elected officials, our mayors, our managers, our trustees, our council people, to come on out and support the kids, have a great time. I'll be there to bid, and I hope that every one of the county elected officials comes too, because once you go to one auction, you always come back.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you.
Mr. President, my hat's off to all of you for the work that you put into this to this point. I know my own children had guinea pigs, and I end up most of the work there. So it just the amount of animals that you take care of is impressive on top of everything else you do as a kid in school and all the other things. So I'm impressed by all you do. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
One last thing, too, is we have our award ceremony on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock where we'll be honoring our outstanding youth, which I think I'll see most of you guys there. So that's another big event, which is right after our parade. So, okay.
Awesome.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you so much. Now's your chance to run.
Or you really see some public speaking.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Massey. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. That's a hard act to follow, so I'll do my best here. Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive, on behalf of Lobbyists for Citizens. I wanted, this is a follow-up, in the last meeting, I believe, or maybe it was two meetings ago, I talked about the resolution that was passed for the transportation assistance for Medicaid clients, and I did ask for a records request from Job and Family Services, and I'd like to publicly thank Suzanne Kazar and Sean Douglas for responding, extremely promptly. And what I asked for was how many clients really have been using Lake Tran services, for which Lake Tran gets $35 per ride. And the numbers were, for the fiscal year ended 21, it was 9,519, 2022 was 13,555, and for the, I annualized 2023, almost 14,000 people. So you can see the number of clients and the use of Lake Tran by Medicare clients is going up. And on average, so if I do the math, it started at 26 a day, then 37 per day, now 38 per day. So it is a valuable service that Job and Family Services and Lake Tran provides. I just wanted to close that loop to say that we did the investigation, and it certainly seemed like a worthwhile venture. Thank you very much. And thank you, Suzanne.
Very good. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Anyone else? Sir. Good morning, sir.
Morning. Chris Weiss from Leroy. I just wanted to reaffirm what the 4-H kids all had to say. Give you one insider tip on the auction. Bid on the carcass projects, okay? Because they've been butchered. You're paying for the meat on the hook, not the live animal. And they already know what the quality of the meat is because they get to look at it. Not many people bid on those projects, but you can normally buy a steer for $5-6 a pound, and you're not paying for everything that you can't eat. So, but in addition to that, my sons actually wanted to be here because they're also 4-H members. They had to make a choice between practicing for football, as Riverside's in the hunt for the state championship again. But Alexander and Eric both won first place in woodworking and are going to represent Lake County at the Ohio State Fair in the woodworking competition. Lisa didn't mention that last night was the award ceremony for the 4-H kids for their STEM projects. And if you had been there, it was very uplifting. We had some really young kids, a boy probably 9 years old who got selected to go to the Ohio State Fair for his first time, and you'd have thought he just won the lottery. I mean, he was just gung-ho. So once again, I want to reaffirm Lisa's invitation to all the politicians of Lake County to come out and support the fair. I can tell you that we've been buying 4-H livestock animals for decades, and I have yet to buy meat in the store that's better quality and better tasting than the animals we've gotten from the fair. These kids, effectively, they're raising a pet, but the kids also have the mind frame that that animal is going to be sold and slaughtered. So good life lessons for the kids. I know the commissioners support the fair, and I want to thank the commissioners to the extent you've supported the 4-H program. The youth building, recently constructed a couple years ago, is a real asset for the kids. And want to also shout out to the 4-H Young Guns Club that's led by Nancy Kochevar. She's the shooting sports coordinator for youth shooting sports for 4-H, and effectively they're the only youth shooting sports club or team in Lake County. Unfortunately, due to a conflict with the township, they lost their ability to shoot anything but shotgun and arrows at the C4 range. We hope that situation will get resolved, but look, your support on that club. That's the largest club and probably one of the most active clubs out of the entire county. I was a 4-H kid 45 years ago, and at that time they would have a style review that would last for 3 hours. Last night we had 2 young ladies that made clothing. The 4-H program has diminished quite substantially, and I think that any initiative that any of the political entities, including the commissioners, could do to help support and revitalize 4-H would be money well spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Jason, could you text Lisa? One of the girls looked like they left their purse. I was looking through my phone. I can't seem to find Lisa's number. Sorry about that interruption. Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Ma'am.
Gilda Spencer, 5580 Ford Road, Madison, Ohio. My question is actually for the engineers. I'm trying to figure out how all this works and get it in order so I understand. So what I would like to know, is there a written criteria on how you choose which project you do first?
Ma'am, could you give some context?
I'm sorry?
Could you give us some context? How do you choose what project?
Well, like we have 3 bridges out by us.
Thank you.
So how do you pick which one is first or last, or there isn't? It's just a time thing?
So if we're speaking specifically of the projects, the 3 bridges.
Okay.
With that, as Mr. Gills has stated, currently he is not ranking any of those projects as first or last, just looking for the funding that would be available to support them. However, based on that as well, there is a time frame for when plans are complete and ready to be able to proceed. So now it would be dependent on which projects have the planning stage complete and could go to bid. So right now, Williams Road has been discussed here. Those plans are complete and ready.
Okay.
They're on the shelf and they could go first. Payne Road is a few weeks away from having all of their plans and specifications complete. And then Ford Road is the one which is third on that list because it's still in the planning.
Okay. So there isn't actually like a written of this one can't get medical services because the road is closed, this one can. We have no priorities on anything like that? Is that what I'm understanding?
I think when you're looking for a written list, necessarily, there isn't a written list that says one is less important than the other.
Okay.
What they're looking at is 3 projects which were all closed around the same time frame, and so in our office they carried the same weight as far as moving forward. Based on the complexity of those 3 projects, timing for each of those is a little bit different.
Okay. And do you have like a committee that does that, or is it just the county engineer by himself that makes those decisions?
No, the county engineer has staff that
Okay.
assists him with all
Okay.
of his planning. We have people who specialize in whether it's drainage, structures, traffic, roadway. So it's a collaboration of efforts to help create a plan to move forward.
Okay. So if they were able to open up one lane, is that a possibility that they're talking about, or they don't think we can do that?
No, as we've discussed many times, opening one lane is not a possibility on any of those roads.
Okay. Okay.
Right now, based on, especially, you're speaking of Ford, which we've spoken about.
Well, I can't get out anyhow, so it doesn't matter if it's Payne or, I don't go Williams Road, that's too far, but.
Based on the slide and where the cracks and the undermining that we're seeing, it would not be safe for the public for us to open that. Well, yes, it would make it more convenient for you to get in and out, but it would set up a liability and it would make it more dangerous, actually. So we wouldn't want to open a road knowing that the next rainstorm we're going to come in and close it, or we'd have the potential of more of a slide, which would put someone's life or personal property in jeopardy.
Okay. So then this is my last question. In the grand scheme of things of how the government works, who is in charge of the county engineers? Is there somebody in Columbus, or are they independent, or how does that work?
County engineer is a separate elected official
Okay.
in Lake County. So while You've heard there's some collaboration by ORC as far as maintenance of roads and where funding comes from, but at the same time, there's no one in Columbus that's necessarily his boss. I think
Okay.
that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I
Yeah.
find it a little hard that there's not somebody above you. So, okay.
The voter.
Yeah, but they don't even
Voters
know.
over all of us.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Just to be clear, we serve the public.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Anyone else? Okay, moving on. Madam Clerk, first agenda item, please.
In the Engineer's Office, resolution authorizing the release of a portion of the construction surety pledge release number 3 for the villas at Canterwood Farms Phase 2 in Concord Township.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Utilities Department, resolution transferring appropriations and transferring cash from Lake County Department of Utilities Fund 596, Project 465S 2022, Brookdale Road Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation to the Sewer Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution establishing tap-in charges for Auburn Road Sanitary Extension in Concord Township.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving plans, specifications, and estimates of cost in the amount of $713,092.60 for Lakeshore Boulevard Waterline Replacement, Euclid City Line to East 288th Street, project number 431W 2020, and advertising for bids for the same. Bid opening August 16, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Did you want to get a little background on that, or are you good with it? It's a pretty big project, if you want to give it a background.
Yes, yeah, this is just, again, another one of our capital improvement, replacing old water line projects. This is the first of a several phase project along Lakeshore Boulevard. And again, we recently received our Ohio Public Works Commission grant agreement on this at the beginning of the month and moving forward to construction.
Excellent. Gentlemen, anything further? All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract to Osborne Concrete and Stone Company for limestone for Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract to Windwater of Akron for fittings, repair parts, service equipment, and tools, Exhibit A, for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract to Core and Main LP for fittings, repair parts, service equipment, and tools, Exhibit B, for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
And Job and Family Services Department, resolution authorizing execution of a subgrant agreement between the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services and Local Workforce Area 5, Lake County, for the receipt of funds from the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act and other federal workforce-related funds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Suzanne, did you want to give some background on that? That one's kind of a mouthful, that title.
Sure. So really what this subgrant agreement is doing is just defining the roles and responsibilities in regards to the WIOA funding that we're going to receive for our workforce area.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, if there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution to revise the Lake County appointed counsel fee schedule for the representation of indigent persons in capital cases.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Lake County Administrator to execute an agreement for purchase and sale for real property located at 201 North St. Clair Street in the city of Painesville, Ohio.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Jason, do you want to add anything?
Good morning, Commissioners. Resolution in front of you is for a parcel adjacent to the proposed Lake County Public Safety Center footprint. These discussions have been occurring for some time in these meetings about the strategic need for acquisition when available on a fee simple basis. This parcel fits that mold. We've been working with a local realtor and the owner on a proposed purchase agreement, and it is in front of you today for consideration.
Very good. Anything for Jason? Sir, thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Board of Lake County Commissioners to issue a request for qualifications for architectural and engineering services for 41 East Erie Street office renovations.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Jason, again, please, if you could add.
Yes, so 41 East Erie is a parcel that the Commissioners acquired about a year ago. This is adjacent to the west of the Juvenile Justice Facility. The resolution today will simply put our RFQ on the street, request for qualifications for firms to take a look for some design ideas on the interior of that structure. And some potential renovation work for future offices, predominantly for the Lake County Public Defender's Office. As you know, they are currently housed amongst some other agencies at 125 East Erie Street, which ultimately in the proposal will be raised. So this is an effort, a strategic effort to begin the planning and design process with the public defender and her staff to meet their needs. Should note, should we pursue with the construction, conversations with Ms. Clapp indicate hopefully a substantial cost share with the Ohio Public Defender, so it won't be a full obligation of the general fund. We will have a match component.
Excellent. Anything further? Jason, thank you as always. Jennifer, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of a memorandum of understanding between the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Stormwater Management Division and the City of Willowick for the Fairway Boulevard Storm Sewer Rehabilitation Project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Oh, come on, Commissioner Regovich, I know this one's near and dear. You got to say something on this.
Well, this is this project here is something that's been in the works since when I was mayor. There's literally sinkholes where the pipes that are, I think it's a 7-foot ID diameter pipe, corrugated steel, all the joints every 20 feet have rotted out essentially, and they are creating sinkholes in people's front yards there right on Fairway Boulevard, which is fairly traveled. And this actually goes into Wycliffe also, and it goes right to the lake, right from to Lakeshore to the lake. So this is something we've been dealing with for a while. There was a new sort of a fix, Mr. Level foam. They did one joint to see if it worked, and it seemed to have worked, and so it's a less invasive and more cost-effective way to handle these joints. The pipe itself is in good shape. It's just how they were connected is what's gone away. Today, if we were to redo it, we wouldn't use corrugated steel. It would be concrete, and the pipe is probably 20-some feet deep. So that's the other problem we have there. So,
there you
but
go.
They are looking forward to getting this done, both Wycliffe and Willowick.
Excellent. And it is an innovative solution, something we've been working on for a very long time. The concept of using this spray foam as grout. That's
we
innovative.
well, as I was mayor, we met with Commissioner Hammercheck to go over this project, and this right up his alley. It's something new and innovative.
Yeah, plugging leaks, yay. Jason, anything you want to add? 'Cause I know you and Tim Miller have been really hip deep in this through the whole process. This is kind of an exciting project. It might not seem very sexy. We're talking about pipe grout.
I guess I would add, as you guys know, I've continued to evaluate ARPA requests, and this is an interesting request because it is a dual, cross collaboration with Mayor Vanny and Mayor Sakis in both those communities. So it's a win-win. As Tim would tell you, stormwater knows no political boundaries. I think the Stormwater Management Department in infancy was somewhat of a controversial topic, but 20 years later, I think the cost benefit to the residents, the businesses, and working on stormwater on a regional basis versus a community by community basis has proven itself time and time again. So I will be reviewing that project submitted by I think it's on Mayor Vanny's letterhead, but signed by both mayors, and get you a recommendation maybe as soon as next week to help with some of the funding on this project.
There you go. just the safety issue alone, the sinkholes, those things literally can swallow a person.
When I was first called and go look at it, I was like, how big could it be? I was like, wow, I'm going to stand back.
A 20-foot sinkhole. Yeah, deep, that is. Wow. All right. Commissioner Fletcher, anything you want to answer?
No, I just commend the mayor/commissioner on completing a project that he started years before.
All right. If there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the county to participate in the Master Cooperative Purchasing Agreement with Cooperative Council of Governments and Equalis Group through the CCAO and executing a contract with Garland DBS Incorporated for the 41 East Erie Street building roof replacement in an amount not to exceed $268,777.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All I could say is next time, can we have utilities on there where they're procuring all their chemicals? So you get to read that too, right after all these.
Can't wait.
Can't
for
wait.
that one.
Yay. All right, if there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes, thank you.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $1,879,022.87.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $1,676,652.65.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing an appropriation for a non-general fund account.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution advancing and transferring cash and appropriations within various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution establishing a fund to be known as the Engineer Road and Bridge Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. President.
Sir.
So this is what we have before us to create an account to put money towards the roads and bridges that are closed. This is the beginning of what we can do and get these 3 projects done in a timely basis. And our goal was to be on the engineer's time frame. They're ready to go with Williams Road. They're going to probably start there. It's going to be up to the engineer's office on how they get these done and what's going to happen. So it's an agreement between the commissioners, the engineer's office, with a lot of help from the clerk of courts, Faith Andrews, who put in $500,000 towards this after she heard what was going on. So it was a creative way to have this get finished and get it done quicker than waiting the process and going through. So I commend everybody that was involved, and we are still looking for funding going forward. We hear that there's going to be funding for future projects through the state coming through their next budget and stuff. So this agreement with the engineer's office allows them to get going right now without having to expend any of their funds in the short term, but we have a long-term agreement to where they were happy to be able to move forward on these projects. So,
thank you. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Regovich.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong Madam Clerk. Oh my goodness. Madam Clerk of Courts. Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
That's okay. She's so good at what she does. I just wanted to express my happiness, basically, for being able to provide, for my office to be able to provide funding for this very important project. I mean, Commissioner Hammercheck has said on many occasions, this is going to save lives. So it's very important. It's a very important project. Once again, I want to thank my staff for their hard work and dedication, because without that, we would not have the surplus that we have. And of course, the way that we run the office, it's very efficient. So I'm all about efficiency. So anyway, I'm happy to work with the commissioners and the engineer on this project. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Plechnik, anything you want to add, sir?
Mr. President,
Sir.
I would just humbly thank the Clerk of Courts for being willing to provide some of the surplus that her staff has generated towards this effort, as well as Commissioner Regovich for working with the engineer's office. This is an extraordinary solution that's never been done before. It's not the role of the county commissioners on a general basis, if you talk to them in any county, to step in these situations. So I want to acknowledge the extraordinary effort that Commissioner Regovich has placed in bringing together the clerk's office, the engineer's office, the Board of Commissioners. This is a pretty remarkable step forward, which would not have been possible without the clerk's help. So we thank you for that effort and the efforts of your staff. I'm hopeful that this will result in the roads and bridges in the east side being resolved quickly. And more than that, I'm hopeful that we come together to plan for the future to make sure that we never again have residents who are put in this position of feeling isolated and unable to access their safety services and schools in a convenient way. The fact that we got here is a failing, but I want to give all the credit in the world to Commissioner Regovich and our Clerk of Courts for making this possible.
I thank you for that, but I also want to give credit to our budget director and to to Jason Boyd, who really helped a lot and had some very creative ideas on this. So,
thank you. I want to say thank you, Faith. Appreciate that. That $500,000 is truly appreciated. I think you guys might want to check our account balances. There's still $114 million in the general fund, but that's just, I think we should keep that in the conversation too. Not to mention the extra interest income, so I don't want to be, I'm trying to be very diplomatic here, but it's a little disingenuous to say that we couldn't have done this without that $500,000. And our county engineer, there are other counties that are investing in their roads and bridges. So I feel compelled to make sure that the record does not get skewed and that our engineer does not get skewered in his absence. Yeah. Anyway, by the way, do we have the $500,000 yet? So anyway, Madam Clerk, save us as always, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Moving on to departmental reports. Utilities.
No report today, Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Job and Family Services.
Also no report today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, County Administrator. Jason, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just briefly, thank you, Commissioners. We've been talking about the Public Safety Center for some time. If you're out and about, I think some survey crews are already mobilizing on site across from the Sheriff's Office, starting to begin the first process, which is setting the boundaries and certifying and surveying the properties that the county owns. And so while it's a small step in the process, it's the first step of people physically on site, starting to get the proverbial lay of the land as we begin what's called the schematic design here in the next couple weeks. HOK will be in town early August to meet with the sheriff's team, reevaluate everything one last time, meet the sub-consultants who will be involved. We're going to have a meeting with the city manager of Painesville so he understands and can meet firsthand our team. So things are starting to move. So thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. President?
Sir.
I want to thank our county administrator for arranging for that meeting. Sure. I had the opportunity to speak with City Manager Doug Lewis earlier this week, and he expressed a great desire to be involved in the jail and safety center project because he wants to make sure that the building is in keeping with and fits within, historic downtown Painesville. And of course, I reaffirmed our commitment to him that we will always be good partners with the city and that we want to make sure that this is an asset to the community going forward. So we're glad that we have such a strong partnership with the city of Painesville as we work through the zoning and permitting processes, which will be extensive. And we're committed to having the city and the local public involved at every step of the way.
Yep, I appreciate that. And Commissioner Hamercheck and I remember the process with this particular facility, and I understand the city still has a city architect on staff. So, and I think we've talked about this a year or two ago about this is a civic structure that should have some pride. The courthouses in each of the 88 counties is that symbol of a community's pride, and I think our new facility should have that civic presence right on Erie Street with some architectural character, yet be reasonable to the taxpayer at the same time. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Madam Clerk, as in Commissioner Clerk. Made you smile. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention that the next commissioners meeting is going to be next week, Thursday, July 27th at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Madam. Legal.
No reports, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to old business. Do you have any old business coming before the board? Any old business? Moving on to new business. Any new business?
Mr. President,
sir,
I would just repeat that our Lake County Fair is coming up next week, July 25th through 30th, and I want to invite the entire county to come out and join us. I know that most of us will take our turns as voice of the fair. We all love the 4-H milkshakes and auctions. It's a wonderful highlight of the agriculture in Lake County, but it's also an amazing time with rides and food and fun for kids, seniors, veterans alike. We have different themed nights and days with free tickets for many groups of people. Who knows, you might fit in one of those categories, so look up to see if there's a free ticket with your name on it. But everyone I know who's come to the Lake County Fair once comes back. So if you have never been, please give it a try.
Thank you, sir. All right, if there's no other new business, we'll move on to our second public comment. Anyone wish to address the board? Mr. Massey.
Again, Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive, on behalf of Lobbyists for Citizens. I have several items to mention to the commissioners, and perhaps you can, let's say, enlighten me of maybe some details I don't have. The first one would be the Workforce Development Director. There was, I thought, agreement between the commissioners and Lakeland Community College to develop a new position, Workforce Development Director, where I believe the commissioners were to pay 50% of the funds. I have an understanding now that that has been scrapped for now. Is that true, or there's been some changes? Because I was told that the person that was offered the $116,000 declined the position, and it seems like Lakeland is going in another direction. Do you have any input on that?
Mr. President?
Sir.
So they did offer a person that position, and they turned it down. They are now looking to, how do we do that? So we're in in talks right now because they can't change. I don't think they're going to scrap it totally, but we're looking, do we change the mode or the function? But in order to do that, I think we would have to agree here at the board to be part of that. So we haven't paid any money towards it yet, and until that's figured out.
Is this statement true that the deal fell through because the deans at the college did not want that person to make as much as them, or maybe more? Is there any truth to that?
I don't know that there's any truth to that. Mm-hmm. The salary is what the salary is going into it. It was agreed upon. Which is, it's similar to a structure here. I wouldn't want to pay someone here more than some of my top people make.
Okay.
And so we didn't, if somebody required more money and didn't take it for that reason, then, I don't know that for sure, but they just declined the job.
Thank you. I'll follow up in the community, see if I can get some more information. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Appreciate it. The second item is friends of mine, Tom and Diane Jones, auburntownship.org, just published an article, and I don't know if there's any, let's say, the totality of truth. I'm not trying to imply, nor should you infer, that there's any wrongdoings between Lake Tran, but it appears that the issue deals with Lake Tran and Geauga Transit. Originally, it's saying, I quote, Commissioner Jim Dvorak dropped a brief bombshell after the Board of County Commissioner meeting. He revealed that an internal audit had discovered a highly questionable $275,000 influx of cash. It looked like the Board of County Commissioners gave it to Geauga Transit, and they were supposed to be repaid within 5 years, but there's still $205,000 that the Geauga Transit owes the Geauga Board of County Commissioners. Why is that important? Well, now you enter, Lake Tran into an interagency transit service agreement, and part of that agreement said that Lake Tran shall have no responsibilities of any kind to make payment of any debt or any other obligations with respect to the operation of the public transportation system in Geauga County, which may have been accrued prior to the time of the agreement. So that would mean to me that this $205,000 is really the responsibility of the Geauga Transit Division. But then it goes on to say, when personally reached by Mr. Dvorak by phone prior to the meeting, Mr. Capel noted his oral commitment to, quote, wipe the slate clean and pay back the $205,000 cash transfer because he/Lake Tran really had no need for the extra dark money. Now, any input from the commissioners? Anybody have any knowledge about this transaction between Lake Tran and Geauga Transit? I mentioned, I think, last week, and you chided me for it. I'm just wondering if there's, if we're going to annex Geauga County to Lake County, and you said there's no plans for that. But if there's a 5-year agreement between Lake Tran and Geauga Transit, and it sounds to me like Geauga Transit was on life support system before we bailed them out. Please correct me if I'm wrong there. But do you have any input? Do you have any knowledge about this $205,000?
I'll jump in. I was working down in Geauga County. That's where we had our Region 13 meeting for the One Ohio opioid discussions. Commissioner Dvorak did bring this to my attention, that he had found that an irregularity existed in how some monies were advanced from the Geauga County General Fund to the Geauga County Transit, and that once the cooperative agreement, or whatever you want to call it, between Lake Tran and Geauga took place, payments ceased. So that kind of piqued their interest. So like, whoa, we don't seem to have these receivables. I believe the money that Ben Capel is referring to, I did talk to Ben late last evening. Glad I did at this point. There's about $500,000 in the account associated with Geauga County Transit. That is the pool of money that he's referring to when he says wipe the slate clean, paying back the money. I don't know if it was a cash flow issue or why the original loan took place. I believe that was back in 2019. But the fact that Geauga County Transit is sitting on cash, there should be no reason why Lake Tran would be advancing any monies, or basically acting as the piggy bank, if you will, for Geauga County Transit. So
But, okay, thank you very much. But my understanding is that you appoint the board, the commissioners appoint the board members for Lake Tran. Are you three commissioners, are you kept in the loop of what's happening with Lake Tran, or are they pretty much an autonomous body that they just do as they see fit as a board?
I wouldn't say that we micromanage. I'm sure each of us talks to various board members, and obviously I just acknowledge that I talked to the CEO, Ben Capel.
Okay, well, I've tried to reach out to Mr. Capel, and he's usually, pretty responsive to me, and I'll have to be a little more patient, and I'll find out a little bit more on what's really happening on that. The other issue is I was reviewing the Mr. Matus's 2024 tax budget proposal, and I noticed the statement of fund activity for the Board of Deepwood Center, excuse me, Deepwood Center. They had an ending cash balance projected for 2024 of $22.6 million. And I said, well, wait a minute, I seem to remember $55 million going to $60 million in Deepwood. So I sent an email. I believe I gave the commissioners all copies of the emails that I sent to Elfie Roman. And I'm saying, well, what happened to the 30-some million dollars? I don't remember anybody, building a building or doing anything out of the ordinary for Deepwood, but maybe I'm just not in the loop. So I really would like to find out, why are they showing just $22 million if they have, in fact, $55 million? Is it in another account? If it's in another account, wouldn't that, maybe I don't understand how the fund accounting works, for Deepwood, but I would think that they would have to be totally transparent with the people as far as how much money that they have. So have you got any input on that?
I don't necessarily think that the number you see, the
22 million projected,
is necessarily reflective of the total assets available. I do believe there are some accounts that may not be shown on that report. There's a reason why if people, well, okay, this goes back to how many times have you heard this Board of Commissioners constantly, well, why don't you use some of that $350 million that the county has invested? That's not money that's under the care, custody, and control of the Board of Commissioners. There are accounts that we do not have control over, but it all gets run through the county treasurer's office. It all shows that it's Lake County funds, but they actually are other accounts, other funds. So this is probably a prime poster child example of another example.
Well, do you see my concern as a citizen, average citizen, is that if they've got 55 million, but they're only showing 22 million?
But this report probably only, and I'm hesitant to speculate, but this report I'm sure is fully compliant with the law. It's reporting what it was supposed to report, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So this is why, again, I say there are monies that we have no control over. There are monies that they can put into other accounts, and it's internally accounted for. But in this report that came to us, which you were referring to, I can envision there are dollars that are not reflected there.
Okay, I'm going to follow up on that because the people want to know where their dollars are, whether they're in account A, account B, or account C. We need to know where that is. It's just not fair. One last item, and that is my my line in the sand issue of protecting the children from Ohio Revised Code 2907321, pandering obscenity. I'd like to personally thank Commissioner Plechnik and Commissioner Hamercheck for publicly stating that you are supporting my initiative. I have reached out to Senator Serino, Representative Callender, and Representative Troy. They've ignored my emails to them, and I'll give them a little more time. But I'm going to call them out if they're not willing to at least step up and say how do they view Ohio Revised Code 2907321? Are they willing to step up to do what is necessary to protect our children in Lake County from the this obscene material that is in our public schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Ma'am.
Morning. Lori Bobin, 6067 Ford Road. I know I've been up here several times trying to advocate for South Madison residents as well as Leroy and Perry and those impacted, especially for the emergency services. I can't reiterate enough how important that is, and that the sooner the better, but I would like to thank everyone involved in continuing to get this ball rolling. I hope it continues to keep rolling, and I would like to thank everyone involved, Ms. Andrews, and if we could just keep in mind that, you know, again, this is a safety issue. And I'm going to hold on to the hope, as I was told at a prior meeting by Mr. Hamercheck, that multiple projects could be going on at once. And that's very hopeful, and I know we're still a long way off from completion. But gentlemen, thank you so much, and please don't forget the residents down in South Madison and Leroy. Again, I don't want to see anyone pay the ultimate price for an emergency issue while we're waiting for all these roads and bridges to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Goner.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to address the board on a couple issues real quick, if I could, and maybe reiterate what Ms. Bobin just said. First, though, I wanted, before I get into, I do want to talk about Ford Road a little bit, but before I do, I want to thank the board. I haven't had a chance, I haven't been here in a few weeks, but I did want to thank the board for your generosity, and on behalf of my other two trustees, thank you for sending some ARPA money our way for the Route 20 sanitary sewer project. That has made a huge difference for us. We've now got our engineer in place. The engineering is underway, and it's going to hopefully, when the engineering is done, we'll go through the public hearing process, and we're going to get this project off the ground. It's one that's been near and dear to my heart because actually I started working on it back in 2007, 2008 when I was county administrator, when the business owners up there approached the commissioners at that time and wanted to expand the sanitary sewer, and unfortunately the Great Recession of 2008 hit, and the project was done, the engineering was done, and then it didn't happen. So we were able, I was fortunate to be in a position where I could resurrect that project again, and at least a portion of it, and we wouldn't be there without the commissioner's support on that. And I thank all three of you for that and understand how important that is for the economic development of Madison Township. So on behalf of myself and my two trustee colleagues, I know Mr. Brown, who's here with me today, did thank you the day that you awarded that money, but I thought it was appropriate that one of the trustees be here to thank you as well. So I thank you for that. Second comment, and it's just kind of a comment, I'm glad to see that the city of Painesville and the city fathers are working with the Board of Commissioners on some of these properties that you're acquiring and for the county, because I can remember when the day came that every time we tried to acquire a piece of property in the city, there was a lot of kicking and screaming about that, because we were taking another piece of property off the tax rolls for the city, and it appears that maybe those days are long gone. I know when we purchased the Job and Family Services property, that was at that time, that was back in 1991, and it was known as the Hex Building, and we bought that property, and it made the city very unhappy, and it actually cost the commissioners quite a bit of money because they delayed that whole project by about a year. But I'm glad to see that the city is working with you now. That's great to see that cooperation between the county and the city that I can tell you during my day wasn't always there. So that's good. Final thing is Ford Road. I'm really happy to see that Resolution 18 was adopted, and I thank Faith Andrews for at least seeding that resolution with $500,000, because that's a great start to the process. I assume that there's going to be additional monies appropriated into that account down the road, because as Mr. Gills, I think he had almost $16 million in needs and about, I don't know, 6 or 7 million in things that need to be taken care of. We know that the Ford Road Bridge alone, if I recall, was about $2.4 million to do that project, and I think preliminary engineering has been done, if I understand that correctly, Tracy. But the final engineering has to take place, and hopefully some of that $500,000 that Faith Andrews has put towards that will at least get that engineering going. We're 330 days today into the closing of the Ford Road Bridge, and I think it's safe to say that 365 days from now, that road's probably still going to be closed, because it doesn't happen overnight. Once the engineering gets done and you go through the bidding process and the removal of the old structure and the building of a new structure, we're probably, I've had a lot of residents ask me, well, when do you think this bridge is going to reopen? And my answer's always been maybe late 2024, but it all depends on when it finally gets funded. The action you took today to set up that account, quite honestly, is unprecedented. I never saw that happen during my 20-plus years as county administrator here, so it's a step in the right direction by this board with the county engineer, and obviously the state legislature needs to do something to work on funding for the roads, because as we all know, gasoline tax is decreasing because of the electric cars on the road, and there's got to be a better way to fund road repairs in all 88 counties in this state, not just Lake County. So I appreciate what the board's done, and again, keep in mind we're 330 days into Ford Road being closed right now, and we're probably at least 365 more days before I'd love to see that project get pushed along, but I know the process, and it doesn't happen overnight, and there's engineering that's going to have to take place, final engineering, and that doesn't happen quickly. So keep us in mind, it is a public safety issue. We're going to go into the second winter out there. This past winter was pretty mild, but some of those residents are the only way to go north is to go up Blair Road, and if any of you have been on Blair Road in a snowstorm or the icy winter, it's not a fun trek going up or down the Blair Road hill. I stay out of there. I do not go that way in the wintertime if I don't have to, and hopefully this winter will be as mild as last winter and it won't be so bad. So Commissioners, I thank you for establishing a fund for this. It's vitally important, and I would hope now that this will start the ball rolling on some final engineering for Ford Road so we can get this project going and out for bid. And obviously that account's going to need more money, so how you go about doing that, I hope you continue to work together to find revenue to put into that account, because $500,000 is a nice start, but it's a long way from where you need to be. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Anyone else? Oh, sir.
I'm really glad the last time I walked up here I could say something positive. They say don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry that I have to look a gift horse in the mouth in the personage of Clerk Andrews. So after all that's been said and done, all the meetings, all the money talked about, right now all we have is $500,000 to do $12 million worth of work. I think that's pathetic. I also think it's pathetic that Clerk Andrews' donations are nothing but a thinly veiled campaign program. And I think that all the facts should see the light of day. So we're to believe that Clerk Andrews, from her own initiative and from her own abilities as a wonderful county elected official, has come up with millions of dollars and can fund all these projects. I'm certainly glad to see monies given to the Sheriff's Department and to these roads and bridges. Not glad to see monies given to a sign for business owners that don't need it, didn't ask for it, have their own signage, and ODOT already has their business locations well marked, and it's common knowledge where to go if you want to go to a winery. I did a little checking. I talked with people who still work in the clerk's office, people who used to work in the clerk's office, and the former clerk herself, former clerk Kelly. So for the facts to see the light of day, I want to mention and say that none of this surplus that exists in the clerk's office originated with Clerk Kelly. Or I'm sorry, Clerk Andrews. It originated with Clerk Kelly. She managed to get other companies to bring an enormous quantity of title business to the county, Carvana being one of them, and along with other people in her office, got that impetus going and created the very surplus that Clerk Andrews is now using to try to rehabilitate her political career and stay in office. I went to Giant Eagle a little while ago, buy some groceries, and I'm coming out to the parking lot. Whose face do I see? Clerk Andrews on the electronic billboard. And I can't help but wonder how that is an appropriate use of public funds and not campaigning. Everyone knows where the title office is, everyone knows where the clerk of court's office is, and everyone knows what you go there for. I don't see why she has to have an enormous picture of herself talking about the office that's a public office that everybody knows about. I don't see why a public official can take their own, take monies that belong to the public and use it as their personal slush fund to earmark for things they want to do. And I also don't understand why you, Mr. Pleshnik, want to laud so much praise on that, when you're the very guy who talks about those kind of things being inappropriate. Okay?
Please, if you could make an effort, maintain a degree of decorum. You're getting danger close to crossing that.
Okay.
Just in
All right.
fairness.
All right. So I'm just going to say that when Clerk Andrews got up here a number of meetings ago and cited the very ORC section that allows for the declaration of a surplus, okay, that very ORC section also gives you guys, the commissioners, the ability to dispute that and have the Budget Commission look at how much is really a surplus. Is it $275,000 a couple of months ago? Is it $1 million for the sheriff the next month? Is it $500,000 for roads and bridges in Leroy 2 months later? Or is it the entirety of the $5.5 million plus that exists with that office that's clearly not needed? I think that it's very disingenuous that a public official have the ability to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Okay, thank you. Closing the second public comment portion, moving on. We do have a request for an executive session. The purpose will be personnel. Topic will be collective bargaining. There will be no business to be conducted afterwards. May I have a motion to adjourn for the reasons so stated?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. President,
sir,
before we adjourn, I just want to make one quick note to Mr. Weiss's comments. I have always made a point of thanking not just Clerk Andrews, but also our prior clerk, Maureen Kelly, for the surplus that both of their staff, many of whom have served under both of them, have generated. In most departments, the county has to subsidize, the taxpayers have to pay for the salaries, the overhead, the building. The Title Bureau under both clerks has run a surplus, and we express gratitude to both of them, regardless of their political party, regardless of who's headed the office. Not every clerk's office in the state of Ohio runs surpluses at this size. It is rather extraordinary that both of them have been able to give back. And I will say Commissioner Young and Clerk Kelly were famous for declaring surplus to support wine country and advertising. So what Clerk Andrews has done is a continuation of what Clerk Kelly did with former Commissioner Ron Young, and we've always been grateful to them for their service in that respect. But ultimately it comes back to the efficiency with which the staff members are working, and I don't want anyone to take away from the hardworking staff in the Lake County Title Bureau. Criticize an elected official if you must, but understand that this is their achievement first and foremost, and we should express gratitude to the clerk's office, regardless of who the elected official leading them may be, for for contributing to the roads and bridges on the east side of the county, for contributing to the sheriff's office, and for promoting the single biggest industry and the highest growth industry on the east side of the county. To say that everyone knows where the wineries are at, well, I wish that were true. I wish that people in California, New York, Missouri, Florida all say, well, everyone knows the best wine is in Lake County, but we have a ways to go to get there. And if we want to be a tourism destination, if we actually want to have those dollars in our community, there do have to be some investments. Commissioner Young and Clerk Kelly recognize that. This Board of Commissioners and Clerk Andrews recognize that. This is not a new idea. And I will say, it's important to note that the wine industry and the businesses have asked for that support. The ideas behind additional advertising or an archway in wine country are part of a master plan that those businesses participated in, and we have heard from those businesses at commissioners' meetings asking for our support. So I want to be honest to what the businesses on the east side of the county have said and done, and they certainly have requested the support. And I would just close by saying this yet again. It's very easy to point the finger and to say, I disagree, you're terrible, you're bad, you're evil, particularly from the perspective of someone who's a candidate running for office. I know you get a lot more attention trying to burn everything down than you do saying, how can we build it up? I recognize that. But I do believe that in Lake County, people value folks who work together. They expect us to work across the county, the school board, the city, the engineer's office, the prosecutor, the commissioners. And while I am a passionate person and I am inclined to argue my point hard, I recognize that we all, myself included, have to double down on working together, because Lake County is in a critical juncture where if we do build the base for our economy, if we do get our roads, our buildings, our bridges, our infrastructure in place, we will have a foundation to be, without question, the best place to live, work, and retire for the next 50 to 100 years. You know, we're at an inflection point in Ohio and the United States. Coming off of COVID and the lockdowns, we're at an inflection point. And if we present a better model to businesses and residents than neighboring counties and neighboring states, Lake County is going to be a premier community for a generation to come. And that has to be our collective goal, whether we're running for school board or we serve as a county commissioner. So I want to thank you for your passion. I just want to remind all of us, myself included, that if we don't work together and we don't appreciate the hard work that we each do, even when we disagree on policy choices, we're not going to move forward fast enough to outpace our competitors. So I thank you for being here. More residents should, but I want to make it very clear that even if we may disagree from time to time, I'm here to support my fellow commissioners. I'm here to support my fellow county electeds. I'm here to support my school board, and I'm certainly here to support our business community.
Your monologue just
Did
made my
I
very
hear a
point.
second in there somewhere?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes, thank you for joining us today.